Okay, so we're going to see how well this works. I've never done a tutorial video, but we were having conversations on, oh, I don't remember which bead group it is. Naughty me. Having conversations on a beading thread in a bead group on Facebook, and one of the ladies had found a Dreamcatcher-like design, and she wanted to know how to recreate it. So this is one of mine. I actually started doing these a few years ago. I haven't done one in a while, so bear with me. I might have to pause and start this video a couple times. So basically when I was growing up, my aunt would make traditional Native American dream catchers. Sinew, leather, stones. Each stone would represent something about you when it came to your birth month, and so on and so forth. So I have a couple of those, and I always loved the design, and I loved the way it looked. So I decided I have 20 plus years of bead stash that I've collected. And then my ex's mother had given me about 30 plus years of bead stash. So I have a lot of non-uniform glass beads, a lot of different colors, a lot of different styles. This one was just trying to use up the little bits that I had left of some, and not enough to create something with usually, or I just like the colors together. I kind of just randomly started with one color and worked my way around until I was done with all the colors. So this one's greens and purples. And it's got a cute little dangle at the bottom. Sorry, this is really hard to see. I could have had to set up a little funny. I'm not quite sure where we'll go with it. I don't plan them out. I don't design them out. I do just kind of go with the flow. I find that if I design something out in my head, or if I design it drawing it out, it doesn't usually come out the way I want it to. Sorry, I put like little leather straps on there as hooks so I can hang them up. This one, I think I actually have to repair from my moving. If I remember correctly, I have a couple beads missing. But anyway, here's another one. I've made a few more, but those ones were given away as gifts. So this one's purple, white, red, brown, just a bunch of colors mixed together. All different colored dangles. But yeah, and I'm going to apologize in advance. My hands are not as pretty as they could be. I do deliver pizzas on a daily basis, and hand sanitizer and dish soap and dish sanitizer and all that kind of shred your hands a little bit. Okay, so let's start. So you're going to need your beading needle. Mine is a size 10. I usually use a 10 to a 12. The beads are size 11. I prefer the size 11s. They're not too big. They're not too small that you can't even see the hole. I use the Nymo D. I don't know how everybody else pronounces it. I pronounce it Nymo. I'm pretty sure this is size D. So Nymo D thread. We're going to do a 3-inch ring today. So compared to the ones that I have done that I still have, it's a little bit smaller, but for the sake of time, I will have to pause this video here and there. So I'll start, show you what you need to know in certain spots. And then I'll restart again. Okay, so I have my needle threaded. I'm not sure the size of the needle. I have a lot of needles and most of them are mixed together. I'm pretty sure they're size 10, but I couldn't tell you. So I have this little white stopper bead right here. I'm going to make it into a stopper bead. We're going to start with Peyote stitch. Got a bunch of colors. You can use as many colors as you want or as few colors as you want. I like to mix my colors. I don't, like I said, I don't plan anything out. So you want to leave yourself a tail a couple inches. That way you can weave it back in through your beadwork at the end, or at the end of the strand, because we will add multiple strands. Don't worry about the length of your thread. Use what's comfortable to you. I will show you how to weave it back through your peyote stitch and knot it off so you can start a new strand. This is hard to do. I usually do this, on my lonesome with my music blaring in my headphones. So talking and doing this might be an interesting task. Okay, so we'll go through one more time. I don't know, I always have an issue getting the stopper bead off. And it could be the way I knot it, so if anybody has a better way to do that, just tell me, please, please. A lot of the stuff that I've done, I have self-taught. I used to get magazines when I was like 12. I started doing this. My mom and dad had gotten me one of those bead loom kits for Christmas or my birthday or something one year, and I have been hooked ever since. You cannot get me away from beads. I have to keep myself out of bead stores. Excuse me, I'm a little raspy. My allergies are catching up to me. But so yeah, 20 plus years of my own collection. And then my ex's mom gave me a ton of her collection. Now I have to remember I'm not supposed to cuss. So I am a sailor when it comes to that. Apologies if I let one slip. I don't use little containers. I've tried. I do have these fabulous little things that sometimes help me out and sometimes don't. I like the triangle ones because the edges are nice. But I like these little round ones too. Obviously I don't use them. They're still a little dusty. They just sit in the drawer for the most part. I like to make my piles. It's easier for me. This beadboard I got years ago. I couldn't even remember where I purchased it. But there's a top part that hooks in and you can close it all together. And I actually have another dream catcher on that I never finished. I'm a little busy. So what we're going to do is, I don't remember, we're going to wing it here. I don't remember how many to start with. Let's start with this light blue here. I wish I had yellow in this color. This would be fun. These are all like metallic looking. Now if you can't tell, these are definitely not delicas. Let's see if it'll focus here. Maybe not. They are not all uniform in size. There we go. I tried to. I don't know how to make videos very well, but anyway, they're not very uniform in size. So you're going to have spots that are going to come out a little wonky, but you could always find other beads that might fit better. Okay, so we're going to see. I think I needed 9. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's try 3 more. And like I said, I don't have a pattern in mind. I don't have a plan. I am just going to go with the flow and have fun with it because that's what I like to do with a lot of my stuff. I never plan it out. So it looks like 9. Maybe not. Maybe it is 8. So it might be an even peyote stitch. Nope, 9 should do it. Okay. So it's going to be basic peyote stitch, but you're going to make a ring with it. So I know there's other stitches and I can never remember the names of them. I know I've done them. I always tend to go back to peyote stitch. I'm not quite sure why. So just go underneath the ring. This is always the hardest part to start it. And of course, like I said, I usually don't sit here in the quiet and talk while I do this. It's kind of chewing gum and walking at the same time. I can do that too. Alright, so untwist it. Get it going. Okay, so I went back through a few of them. And it's going to be a little loose. Tighten it back up. Pull, because I have a lot of tail here. And you don't want that stopper bead right up against it because you're going to want to try to get that stopper bead off later. I have like fumble fingers apparently. So I like to just wrap that tail around my finger, like if you're doing crocheting. I think my video just kind of messed up, so I kind of just wrapped it around my finger. But do whatever's comfortable. This is the hardest part to start. So we'll go back and grab another blue. This is going to be very difficult. I don't know if you guys can see this. So we're going to go through that, skip a bead, and go into the next one. I think I need to set this up on macro. Dang it. I'm trying to look at the screen and at my beadwork at the same time. Let me see if I can't find a better way to do this. I should have played around with this beforehand, huh? Let's see, can you guys see that? Is that better? Okay. So we're going to do that. And it's going to be loose as you're doing your first couple rows. And we'll just pull and tighten. So skip a bead, go in the next. This is a weird angle for me because I'm trying to make sure you guys can see this on the screen. Ah! Okay, bear with me, guys. And gals, if that offends you, I'm sorry. Alright, now that I'm kind of holding on to it a little better here. Kind of looks like a jumbled mess at the moment, but it will start looking like peyote stitch here in a few. And just keep going every other one. This is odd stitch, so you should come out evenly. Or odd count. Okay, so you came out here. It looks kind of funny, but you're going to just continue to skip the beads and go in and out. Let's move on to green, shall we? We'll go skip that one, go into the next. I got stuck on the arm of my chair. I'm trying to find a new office chair. Oh, and look what I did. There we go. I'm trying to find a new office chair that doesn't have arms. I used to have one and it completely broke up underneath. So now I gotta find one without arms because the arms drive me nuts because my thread likes to get stuck. Okay, so let's do a couple more rows and then we'll tighten it up a little bit. This one's kind of difficult because it kind of moved on me here. My eyesight's a lot better than I thought it was. Alright, so now we're a few rows in. We're going to kind of unravel that stopper bead. Oh no! So I totally missed that bead that I was trying to aim for. Do you see what I did there? I missed this bead. Completely skipped it somehow. I guess my eyesight isn't as good as I thought it was. Okay, so we're going to go back through that. I'm not quite sure how I did that. Probably because I'm talking. Okay, so I completely wrapped myself around. Whoop. And don't get mad when you knot up or when you mess up. Just go back and fix it. You'll get a groove. Oh man, and I'm making it worse, aren't I? Like 100% worse. Oh, it's because I'm like in the middle of the thread itself. I don't know if you guys can see that. I kind of got stuck in that actual thread. Oh, how funny. How did I do that? Okay. So I'm just going to take the needle off. That's why I do it this way. I don't knot it at the end of two ends of the thread because sometimes you just can't fix it without pulling the thread completely out. See, now I don't have a problem anymore. I do have to stop moving. So there's that one, and I totally skipped this bead right here. I'm not quite sure how I did it. Because once you flatten it out, that's where I should go. So we'll take that. Now I gotta re-thread my needle. Don't ask me the best way to do this because I have issues most days too. Thread it the best way you can. I've tried those little threaders that look like they're a coin at the top. My grandma used to use them. She used to make quilts. She taught me how to thread a needle. She taught me how to use a needle. And then I got the beading loom kit. And it was all done. It was all over. I never looked back. And now I have beads everywhere. And I wish I had more time to create. I really do. I have a lot of patterns from my wall art that are just sitting on my computer that I won't be able to touch for a while. I'm working on one I'm about a third of the way done with it. It's going to be about 10 by 10 inch, and it's a mandala. Maybe that's why I have this attraction to dream catchers. I have this attraction to anything circular. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'm always attracted to it. So like mandalas and things like that. Now I'm not even looking at the size of the beads. This one's a little big. I'm just kind of going with it. I'm not gonna be too finicky because there's no point. Nothing's ever perfect. Art is never perfect. I know you guys, we all see it, all those beautiful, beautiful beaded pieces with the gorgeous lavish stones, and they're so intricately designed, and I wish I could do that. I really do. So my hat's off to all of you ladies and gentlemen who can do that, because what I do takes a lot of time, but what I do is just pretty much one stitch. I do a lot of peyote stitch. I don't do a lot of netting or anything like that. The only netting I really do is on these. And like I said, I haven't done this in a couple years, so bear with me. Okay, so here's your peyote stitch. And you just keep going around and around and around and around. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you guys finish your peyote stitch until you get all the way back around to the other side. Otherwise this video will be long, very, very long. So I am going to continue going around, and when I get back to here, I will show you how to close it off. And so I will be back in a bit. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention before I stopped was that it's going to loosen up a little bit, and it's going to spin around. I mean, it's going to be loose. So go ahead and just pull this and kind of pull your thread and kind of twist if it gets too loose. And you can do that at the stopper bead side too, and just kind of twist it, and it kind of tightens up the beads a little further down. I completely forgot to mention that. So I've gotten a few more colors, and for those of you who maybe baby lost, I'm really bad at explaining how to do some things. So I'm back at the green. I'm only doing 2 rows of each color. Oh no, am I losing lighting? I hope I'm not losing lighting. I've got natural light going on next to me here, so I thought this was the perfect time to do this. But it looks like a cloud moved over the sun. So I kind of do 2 or 3 beads at a time before I pull the thread. But if you have to do it every bead, that one's kind of small, so we'll get rid of that. So every now and again, especially in these little sets that you get, you're going to have like these really, really big tubular looking ones. I don't know if you can see it. Or you're going to have these really itty bitty skinny ones. And so that's going to really offset your beadwork. If you're using those kinds of beads, I kind of tend to pull those out. And if I have an embroidery project, I might use them in there. See, I keep saying and it drives me nuts. So I need to stop doing that. Probably because I'm not used to doing this and talking. So we got my second, I'm chasing it. So it's kind of loose because I pulled on it a little bit. You can see that it's kind of loose. So go ahead and just take your thread here and kind of roll this around and pull, and it kind of makes it a little better. You're going to have a couple beads that poke out here and there, but you can fix it as you go. Just be patient with it. And I'm going to continue my colors around the rest of the ring, and I will be back when it is time to connect. Okay, so I did tell you guys that I was going to come back when it was time to join them, but I did also tell you that I was going to teach you or show you how I end my string. So I don't want to lose track of where I ended when I add my new string, so I'm going to use, I ended my 2 rows of blues, then I'm going to put my next green one in. That way I know that I need to come out of the one after my next color. Not quite sure, I'm losing light here. The clouds are rolling in. Better. Okay. So I'm ending up my green right there. Now I'm gonna go back through. Now don't twist your ring around and move it around a ton. You want to remember what direction you're going. Some people, it's easier for them to go around this way when they're doing their beadwork. Me, I like going towards myself. It's more comfortable for me. So I'm going to go back through. See, my string is pretty darn short. So we're just going to go back through a few work back down. And it doesn't need to be super tight as you're going through this entire thing. It is going to move around. Scissors are in my way. It's going to move around quite a bit as you're working on it because it is on a metal ring. And you're probably using glass beads, so they're going to slide. So go through a few. Let's get to a color here where you can actually see the string underneath. Okay, so right here I will go, this is going to be hard to see, I will go up underneath this string that's connecting that green one right here to this blue one. I'm up underneath that string right there. I don't know if you can see. Now, I'm not quite sure what this knot is called. I think it's a square knot. But I'll go through, maybe, I'll go through my loop once, and then a second time, and then I'm going to pull it tight. And then I'm going to go through a few more beads. Everybody has their own tips and tricks on how to knot. YouTube is full of videos on different ways you can knot and different ways you can end your strings, so on and so forth. I did watch a couple videos finally by Jill Wiseman, and if you do get a chance, if you get confused, Beadaholic has very good videos as well on how to do peyote stitch, how to do netting, how to do all kinds of different tricks. I learned a lot of the stuff that I know through magazines when I was younger, after getting my first bead loom. Then I'm going to do another knot here, maybe, trying to keep it to where you guys can see it and I can see it at the same time. And then another, I'm pretty sure it's called a square knot. If it's not, please somebody correct me. Alright, and then we'll go back through a few more times. Doesn't matter how many times you go back through the beads. Most of these glass beads you can go through quite a few passes as long as your needle's not too big. And I'm going to snip it off right here at this black bead that I just came out of. If I find where I replaced my scissors, and just like that. So I have ended, but I didn't move it around because I want to keep moving back towards myself. So place it to where you remember where you came out. So I'm going to set it back down. Let me get my handy dandy Nymo thread here. Well, maybe pull some thread off. And as you can see, I'm a little over halfway done with my ring here. And it does take some time. Beadwork is not something that you rush. There are some people who can go a little faster than me, but because I'm not beading on a daily basis like I used to, I'm a little slower at it. Hence why I pause the video and then start back up again. So just like before, I do not double my thread. I just use a single piece. I do have a tail that comes out long enough that I can hold on to it and the needle does not fall off, so I don't have to keep rethreading my needle. So pick it back up, and you're going to want to come back out the same way. So I need to come back out this bead right here. Okay, so my new color starts here at this one, but I want to come back out here so I keep it even going all the way around, because this is the bead that I had to go through to keep the new green one in. I hope that makes sense. So go ahead and knot somewhere a few rows down, and then you'll just weave your way back around until you come back out this bead right here. But remember to go the same direction you've been going this entire time. So I'm gonna knot right here. And you can knot it however you want. Like I said, I like that. I'm pretty sure it's a square knot, but I'm not sure. That's what I'll call it for right now, until somebody corrects me. And we'll just knot it. And you can leave your tail, because you're going to want to weave that back through at the end. but I'm going towards myself. So I want to go back through this bead right here. I don't know how easy this is for you guys to see. But we're going to weave back through. I actually think I'm going the wrong direction here. That's okay. It takes some practice, it takes some time, it takes some patience. This is my therapy. This is what I do. Some people golf, some people dance, some people do all kinds of things to keep themselves entertained and to keep themselves happy. Always find what you are good at and what you like to do. Whether you're, even if you're not good at it. Always find something that can help you, at least for me, it makes sense for me. Find something that helps you deal with your everyday stresses and your everyday worries and concerns. I know we all have them, but creating, whether it's beadwork or my marble paintings, or I have a list of things that I do. I have some t-shirts that I started drawing on and stuff. So, things that will keep me occupied. Okay, so finally, we're back down to where I ended. So I'm going to go through that green bead, go through the next one. My string's pretty long. I got used to using longer strings. Now I have a pile of beads over there on my board that, like I said earlier, are either too big or too small. And I will reuse them on something. That one's kind of funky. It has a really flat side on it. A lot of these mixed glass beads have a lot of imperfections, which is fine. That bead was kind of tough to get through, so that might be a difficult problem later. If they do not go over your needle very well, do not use them, because if you do end up passing back through them again later, I've had a problem where they like to break. And then you'll have like little glass bead shards everywhere. You can always go in and put a bead in later that'll fit into your little hole that you now have because your bead broke. But it's more of an annoyance. But there's always a way to fix it. And I got a little knot. But I find with the Nymo thread, as long as you're careful with it, it does start to fray if you go too long and you're passing through quite a few times. And if it does start to fray, the best thing to do is just to start a new thread. Get rid of that one, tie it off, all that fun stuff, and start a new thread. I keep moving closer to myself to where you guys can't see what I'm doing in the video. So basically there's my new string, and I will finish around, and this time I will come back and we will connect the ends. So this may not look like the end, but oops, as my hand slips, they're loose enough that I can pull them together, and then it all looks pretty even, on the sides. So you're going to go into one of the upper beads on the blue side. Upper beads on the blue side. And then one of the upper beads on the orange. So basically it's like a zipper you're pulling together here. Then another upper on the blue side. And don't worry, you'll pull it all tight and get it all together. Upper on the orange. Now I make quite a few passes through this portion of the beadwork, just so I make sure that I go through all the beads on both ends to make sure that they come together correctly and that they're, well, as I confuse myself, we're good. I found it. There's that one. And that one. Now we're going to come back to where, we started. So now you're just kind of zipping it up, and you still have your line here from your original start point. Okay, so you're going to have to keep that tight too. And that one will tighten up as we go and knot that. Now, where did I end? Sorry, I have to remember what I'm doing here. Okay, so we're going to go back through this orange one, but we're going to step down with it. And we're going to go back through this blue one, and I'm going to go up too, because I want to make sure that it hits the first two rows on both sides, the end and the beginning. We're going to go down these two and up these two. So just go as many passes as you'd like until you feel like it's secure enough. And I totally skipped that bead. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to look perfect like if you were using Delica beads. Until you feel like it is secure enough. Sorry, I keep coming out of frame here. And then you'll keep this one on there. Oh, I kind of went down pretty far on that one, didn't I? That's all right. Okay. So I feel like we've got a pretty good start. I've gone around a couple times. And you're going to want to keep this one on there, the one with your needle. Take your needle off, because you can still use up that thread to start the knitting. Now I think that's pretty good. It's a little bulgy there. I think I messed up on one of the beads. I'll have to see what I can do with it. But like I said, it's not going to be perfect. It's art. Have fun with it. Do what you can. For some reason, I don't feel like this is focusing very well. Now we're going to start the knitting. Now, this one, have fun with it. I do have one. Let's see if I can't find it. I don't have it anymore. I actually gave it to an old neighbor of mine who was one of the strongest men competitors. I think he actually won once or twice. Brian Shaw, I gave it to him as a moving present. He was my neighbor for a little while. But that one, I actually was the first one. Here's a screenshot of it from my, let's see if you can see it, from my Instagram page. And it's got, I put some feathers in there, some printed feathers, beaded around the ends. It's got feathers at the bottom as well. But I only did a partial net at the top, so it's like a teardrop. I think, yeah. So if you want to check that out, I do have a little video on my Instagram that shows that one kind of in the sunshine and moving around a little bit. But I've had a few that I've made that I unfortunately don't have pictures of, or I do, I just don't know where they are. They're probably on Instagram somewhere. All right, so back to it. Get your needle back on the thread that you just put everything together with, because you still have quite a bit left sometimes. I have enough left to at least start the net. And if you'd rather just change your thread out for this part, by all means go for it. I'm not quite sure. This doesn't seem right to me, like I have one too many beads or not enough beads right here. My count might be off. I'm not quite sure. But we're going to go around and come out the inside of the ring here. And you can start anywhere you want. You can start with whatever color you want. Like this green and purple one that I have, I was basically just using up beads. So I started with this teal color right here, and then I went to this one. And once those beads were gone, I just moved on to the next color, and then the next color right over here. And then until those were gone, and then I started the next one till those were gone, and then so on and so forth. And that's exactly what I did all the way throughout. Just because I was trying to use up beads, I am trying to destash a little bit by actually creating with what I have and trying to build up my Delica stash so I can get some of my wall art designs done and actually start selling on those ones. I think I want to start on this orange one that's kind of protruding underneath. I think that might be a good start point. So we'll come back up through right this one right here. And see, it'll move around a little bit on you. It is a little loose, which is fine. Kind of makes it a little easier to play. So I'm not quite sure how I want or how big I want to go around. This one I kind of eyeball doing the netting. So we came out that orange one, so how about we'll start with orange here. And some of these beads are kind of funky, so we're going to throw them into my little pile there. I think I'm going to do, you want to do an odd count. That way you can go through the middle one for the next part of the net, the next step down of the net. I think 3, 6, 7. Let's do 9. Let's see what that does, or how big that gives me on the edge here. It is a smaller dream catcher. Let's do 13. Let's see. And like I said, do the size you want. Make the netting a little bigger, smaller. All completely up to you. All your own style. So that's 15 beads, I do believe. 17 beads, excuse me. And again, not focusing very well, and it could be the way my light is sitting. I'm not sure on that one here. All right. Excuse me again. So we're going to come up, I'm going to come up from orange to orange here. I'm trying to remember. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done this. Yep, just kind of come up from behind or from the front. It really doesn't matter. It's all going to hang together. And I said 17, correct? And if you're off by a bead or so when you decide to come back around, it's okay. It's not going to ruin anything. But I'm basically going orange to orange. And this is prime example of these beads right here. So this one fits pretty perfect. It fits pretty straight without pulling on it. Okay, it fits pretty nicely. But this one has the same amount of beads. But because the beads are not uniform in size, the beads are like this one right here is pretty long. And then you got a couple little skinny ones, and then you got another long one here. So, like I said, just wing it. I'm going to go back through, I'm going to go up one more bead. You can go back through this way, or you can take your needle off. I'll just go back through. Sometimes I get caught on that, sometimes I don't. So let's try this bead right here, because it's a little further forward. See, and it still doesn't really sit. So maybe we'll go over to a blue bead. So you're just going to have to play with it, especially if you're using these generic beads, I guess is what you would call them. You're just going to have to play, figure out what works best with, oh, darn it. So just take the needle off. This is why my videos are probably going to take forever and a day. As long as you love what you do, that's all that matters. Ah, I got stuck on my board. It's the first time I've actually done that. So it's a little better. So just continue around. You might find that the amount of beads that you used isn't quite going to fit correctly at the end. Like I said, trial and error. I don't remember how many beads I've used in each piece. And I usually, like I said, just wing it. But you do want the odd count. That way you can go through the middle bead, or even the middle two beads, I guess, if you do a even count. It's easier to keep track of if you do an odd number of beads. That one doesn't sit quite the way I want it to, but it'll do. Just have fun. Create, enjoy, go with the flow. All those lovely little terms. Ooh, perfect. I didn't even count it. I was talking. How do you know? What do you know? So it looks like I'm going like blue to blue here almost. That one looks like I can go through the green. Just kind of gauge it with your eyes. Not going to be perfect. So this looks like it might not fit 100%. And if it doesn't, maybe I'll just do a partial netting in there instead of a full netting. Who knows? Just kind of go with the flow. Oops. I think I overcounted. Okay. And then I get silent because I'm counting. And I don't want to miscount. And it looks like we'll go through this blue one right here. It's a lot of fun. And I zone out. But like I said earlier, I usually have my headphones in, rocking out, or watching some Supernatural. Always a lot of fun. 2, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. And I did it again. I just kept going. Okay. I think it's time for me to take another break so I can eat some food. I've been having a lot of fun doing this though, because I haven't done a beaded project in a while. And I've never done a tutorial. So I apologize if this is really long. And I apologize if I've missed anything or if you guys are still confused. I'm trying my best, I promise. But like I said earlier, it's not going to be perfect. See, so I'm going to have like this gap here. Now you can always undo the whole thing and start again. Or what I think I'll do so I don't have to go through and redo the whole thing again. It looks like I would have been fine if I would have done 15 beads instead of 17. So for 3-inch, maybe go for 15 beads. Trial and error, remember? That's pretty much what all of creating is, trial and error. So we'll do, maybe I'll do a partial and I'll hang something from the center of that later. Okay, so now that I've got those, I'm going to come up through these beads and I'm going to work my way around back to our initial start point. Alright, so now we're getting to the bead that I started. Now I'm going to go all the way over and I'm going to come out that center bead. So I have 17 beads. The center bead is going to be the 9th bead. Or, yes, the 9th bead. So it's going to be this guy right here. 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it might be easier if you use a different color in the center if you're going to change the colors throughout. But we want to come out that bead right there. And don't over tighten these because then they will buckle and it won't look right. And so now you got to decipher how many you want to put here. And I'm going to say we're going to go 13. Ah, I'm losing them. And you can always add or subtract beads as you go. So that looks like it might not be enough. Remember, the middle bead on this one is going to be number 9, and you want to come out that middle bead. Which for me is going to be right here. So it looks like I need 15, thereabouts. Yep, so 15 looks like it'll be about right because they will pull down a little bit. So it looks like you're going to minus 2 beads on every row. I think, if I remember correctly, that's kind of how all mine ended up. Minus 2 beads on every row. And these beads are a little tougher to use because they are not uniform. But they get the job done. And it still looks pretty cute. So like I said, I'm going to do a partial and I'll hang something off of this part right here. See how slacky that one looks? So, I mean, if I tighten it a little bit, it might work out. Or it might pull all together nicely when I put my next one on. These beads, that's what a lot of people have an annoyance with these beads. Me, I just kind of wing it. I used to want everything to be perfect when it came to my beadwork. But I found the more you try to be perfect, the harder it is. So I think once we get a couple more on there and we go back around, I think it might even out a little bit because it will start to pull and it will start to give that sinew effect that the traditional dream catchers have when they tie off the sinew on there. I think it looks pretty cute so far. I'm not sure how the colors are turning out because my screen's kind of at a funky angle to me now. And no natural light, so boo. That natural light definitely helps. A couple super long ones there. Let's get rid of those. Those will work perfect for, you know, like the dangle part. I never try to make that perfect. And that you can play around with. You can have a lot of fun with that one too. Okay, so because this is the end one, we'll end it on number 9 like we did all the other ones. And I'm gonna just let it loop naturally. So I'm gonna go back up through these ones, and this is where you're going to find out if your needle can fit through your beads. So we're going to go up through this blue one, which is on the other side of that orange one we started with. Which one there? Ah, as I stab myself. Yes, that happens a lot. Stabbing myself. So we're going to come down, back down through these. And we're going to go down through the blue. Now the center one for the blue, because that's 15, is going to be, what is it? It's going to be the 8th one, right? Because half of 14 is 7, and then we have one extra. So we're going to come out the 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to come out that one right there. No, I lost it. No, I didn't. We're good. So we're going to try 13 for this next portion. And like I said, don't pull it too tight, because once you start adding the center part, that's when you tighten it, and then everything should pull down like this. It'll look like that. Okay. So now we'll move on to the green. We're going to do 13. Come back to the 8th one here. Come through this bead right here. And see, as you pull a little bit, it's going to start pulling into the center. But you don't want it tight until you pull into the center, because then it'll start pulling the triangles for you. So if you start running short on string, like I am here, I could probably get one more, and then I'll go back through, do the same thing you do. Go back through the design, tie it off, cut it off. I'm going to finish this up and then come back when it's time to start the dangle parts. Okay, so I got my netting in there. Fumble fingers. So it's a little loose. But you can't really tell unless you're playing with it. Now I did add this little loop right here at the top. That way if I wanted to dangle something from there, it's already there and it's going to be a lot easier to do. You do it however you want. You really can. There is no right or wrong way to do your own design and make it yours. Absolutely none. So I've ended down here, just on the left of this one, because it kind of looks like my center is right here in between these two. Let me flatten myself out here. So in between here is my center. So I'm going to go just a little off of this one, and then I'll end just a little off of this one. Do your dangles however you want. Like this one I went through beads. Each and every one is attached to just one bead. Hold on, give it a second. Just one bead. And they just dangle singly, individually. Then I have this one that I did a peyote stitch on. So I just attached it on to this part, and then I just attached it over here. It's the only part that's attached. And I did a peyote stitch with a little triangle in the middle, so I'd skip a few, go down into a few beads till I came to a tip. And so on the tip of each and every one of those, sorry, it's having problems, focusing, and I can't hold on to anything. And on the tip of each one of those little peaks, and even in the center of the bottom part of the peaks, why is this not focusing? I have put the dangles in. So, you know, you can do it however you want. So this one kind of rocks back and forth. I'm not quite sure how I want to do these ones. Let's see, I ended with blue in the center. Maybe I will go to black. I'm in a black bead anyway. And you can wing it, you can count it. Do it however you want. That bead didn't fit. Get rid of it. It's trash. These ones, it doesn't matter. An itty bitty little bead right there. That's not going to work very well. You can count them. You can eyeball them. Maybe we'll make this one go step like the other one I did. You can put little pretty designs. do it however you want. So this end bead right here, if you've never done dangles, you could put an end bead on here that's bigger. You could put crystals on here that are bigger, but the same thing will apply. So there's your end bead. When you're coming back up, you want to skip that very end bead, and you want to come back up all the beads that you've just attached, including this very first one here. Now you want to come back. The easiest way I found, especially for the dream catchers, is I came out on this side of this black bead. I want to come back through this other side. So you're going to have a full circle on that string, and it's going to dangle a little evenly. It's not going to sit on just one side. It's going to be on the center of that bead at the bottom of your dream catchers. And you don't want to tighten these too tight, because then you won't have a dangle. All it's going to do is just sit there and bunch up and look kind of funny. So don't put too much tension. You can add some tension to them later. You can pull on them. So I'm going to go back down through this next bead. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just going to come over to this one. So you're going to have, your string is going to go from that bead to the one directly next to it. Now you're not going to be able to do that the whole way down. You're going to have to go up and down a bead. And we'll go to an orange here. And I didn't count anything, I'm just kind of stringing them on there here. I'm not going to be perfect with these, just like I wasn't with that pink and brown and yellow, I do believe. It's got some reds and stuff in there too. I'll string a few on there. My string's really long all of a sudden. I did change it out partially through that net when I paused. So this one's going to be a little shorter. Maybe I want to make it a little longer, or maybe I want to make them short all the way around. We'll make it a little longer than the previous one. Like I said, do the dangles however you want. Whatever feels comfortable with you. Whatever works for you. Put your own flair on it. Put your own imagination into it. There's more than one way to do your beadwork. And with that, I'm going to finish the dangles. And we will come back with the finished product. I am so sorry that this is not focusing. I'm not sure why it won't focus. Maybe it's because I zoomed it in. I'm not 100% on that. So at these end beads, you are going to see your thread a little bit. And if you don't want to do just a single bead at the end, you can always do multiple beads at the end. These ones, it looks like I did the bottom 5. Can you see that? The bottom 5 beads I made as the end. So it kind of gives it this little triangle end instead of the single bead end. But like I said, that is completely and utterly up to you. However you want to end it, however you want to dangle it, completely up to you. Make it your own. Put your own flair, your own ideas, your own creativity in there. Just like with whatever I put as a dangle, it's going to be something that I enjoy or I feel like needs to go in there. I will come back with a finished product, with the finished dangles, just because this is already going to be really long. This has taken me all day to do. I'll have to look at the time and see how long it's taken me to do the 3-inch. That way everybody gets a basic idea of how long they take. It's not an easy project, it's not a quick project, and it does take some time, and it is a learning curve. And it looks like I wrapped around a bead with my thread there. That's okay. Hang it on this side, nobody will ever notice. I'll be back. Alrighty, now we have a finished product. I put a pretty decent sized glass bead from the center. There it is. All finished. All a bunch of dangles. We'll set her down here. All your dangles, It'll look great once I hang it up. It's got that nice big giant glass bead in the center. I like the glass beads. I don't use them very often at all, and I have a lot because they're all different. Well, most of them are different. But there it is. There is mine, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning about it. If you have any questions or concerns, or if you have your own way of going about it, go for it. Have fun with it. It's yours. Make it yours, and don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Have a great day, lovelies.